Welcome back to the Interior Analysis Podcast. I am your host for this one, Jelani Kelly.
I'm Evan Westman.
I'm David Jones.
And today we're discussing Michael, aka Like Mike. It's a basketball kids movie that don't nobody respect when it comes to sports movies because it's up there. I put it above all the other ones. I think both David and I have seen this movie before. I don't have any initial reactions. Evan, I believe you have never seen this movie before, so go.
I had not. And when you told me that we were going to be doing a kids sports movie, I was going in with pretty low expectations because those are two genres that usually don't work for me that well.
Kids is a genre?
Well, it's a target audience at the very least.
Kids and sports, okay.
Yeah, so I definitely did not have high hopes for this, but, on the whole, better than I expected. I'm not going to, praise it too highly, but it's good for what it is. And when I was 8, I'm sure I would have loved this. So, in that sense, well done. And, there's, again, I'm not going to, praise it too highly, but it does avoid a lot of pitfalls that it could have fallen into. I mean, there's certainly parts of this that are not excellent, but I really don't have anything bad to say about it. And even a couple of good things to say about it.
What's not excellent in this movie?
Well, I can name 2 things that are excellent. One is the CGI dunk. Easily the best part of the movie. Actually, I don't know if I want to call this excellent. The song. We're playing basketball. We loved that basketball. Bars, question mark.
But that's not how they sang it, Evan.
Well, I'm not going to try to imitate it for the sake of everyone's ears, but Space Jam certainly was the better soundtrack of the 2 basketball kids movies of this era.
Based around Michael Jordan.
Yes, based around Michael Jordan, because I guess Air Bud was this era too, but I've never seen that.
I never seen Air Bud. No, I was just comparing the fact that they're both based around the GOAT of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I said it. Fight me, LeBron fans. Not really. I don't really care. Don't come after me. It's not that big a deal.
All the Space Jam 2 and New Legacy people are going to slander us in the comments.
Do they exist?
Probably not.
Looking back on this movie, there's a lot of quotes from this movie. I didn't realize my brother and I quote all the time. Just completely random ones. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, which is what Murph said when Biddleman was asking him about the shoes. And then when Jesse Plemons was like, I'm not an idiot. You got that? The entire DMX scene. And really just anything Tracy Reynolds says in general. Because he's goofy. This was a good movie. I had this on DVD, and I'm pretty sure, I don't remember, I might have had it on VCR. Solid. I've seen this at least over 10 times, I want to say. Yeah. Dave, do you have anything before we get into the topic?
Not really. I had seen this movie when I was a kid. We owned it on DVD. I kind of wish I didn't rewatch it.
Why?
Because my memories were fonder than the movie actually was.
No.
That's fair. There's a few movies, I loved Inspector Gadget 2 as a kid. I'm sure if I rewatched that now, I would not love it.
But I mean, some things remain true. I remembered he took Murph. I was like, he takes the other kid too. But I didn't realize how they just don't take the girl and how they just kind of write her off throughout.
Well,
the
they
whole
do.
film.
They give some
And then they just,
indication that
summarize it in that
she
picture.
does get it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the picture. But come on, it's we all talk about sexism in early 2000s kids movies, but compared to the 3 kids that could be fleshed out, the girl is the least, even to the bully who's super one note. But it's interesting. I also, at the time as a kid, didn't know that the song Basketball was made by Bow Wow for that movie. I just thought it was a song that was playing and took it for what it was. So it's interesting that he literally made a song for that movie. Talented kid.
Yeah. Well, it was a buy one, get one free at the orphanage, David, not buy one, get two free. I don't think that would have been fair. Then they would have probably, Tracy would have had,
Could you imagine? They were like, and we have another one, and he was like, "Oh my god."
yeah. I don't think he was ready for Murph, to be honest.
I
No,
know.
he was like, "Oh, I don't know about this anymore." Calvin, I think I have to go back.
Calvin, can we talk about this?
I feel like it's complicated because, like, I actually really appreciate that, like, Calvin is doing Murph a solid there, but also, like, that is a lot to ask of Trace.
Yeah, I think you mean Tea Time.
Tea Time.
Let's call him by his,
Sorry.
his name. Yeah, Brenda Song got kind of screwed in this movie.
I didn't even recognize her. That totally is Brenda
Social
Song.
Network.
Yeah.
That's what I know her from.
No, Zach and
I
Cody.
know her from Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Zach and Cody.
She's London Tipton.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
I
sure
don't
it'll
know.
shock
But
both
no,
of you
this-
that I
this-
didn't watch that as a kid.
I was actually surprised how stacked this movie is from a cast. Like,
Eugene Levy.
as a kid, obviously, you take no appreciation because you have no concept of like who anybody is. But like, wow,
Nope.
that is a stacked cast.
Crispin Glover. Eugene Levy. Who was the coach? I've seen him in something else, I think.
Robert Forster.
Okay, nope. Morris Chestnut. My brother and I always said he looked like our dad. We told our dad, like, he looked like Morris Chestnut.
That's a very nice compliment.
It's a very nice yeah, I mean, it was kind of facts for us, though. Like, he looked exactly...
Morris Chestnut is a very handsome man.
Okay. Yeah. Jesse Plemons.
Yeah, Jesse Plemons.
I remember him mainly, and it's not good that I remember him mainly from that one Black Mirror episode. 'Cause I don't remember what else. I think I've seen him in like a trailer for something.
He's in a Game Night,
He's in so many things.
and he was in Power of the Dog
Yeah,
this
he's in
past
Game
year.
Nights, Power of the Dog. He's in Breaking Bad. He was in The Post.
Wait, he's in
a
The
lot
Post?
of work. Yep.
Oh, I'm not gonna rewatch it because I didn't like it, but I don't remember him being in it.
Wasn't that a triangle thing, Evan?
Yeah, did you go to that?
Wasn't it? No.
You didn't miss anything if you did, but I
No.
did see that because of the triangle.
Good cast. And you got Lil Bow Wow. I remember somebody told me this is the kid from Stuart Little. I was like, I knew I recognized him from somewhere. That's playing Murph. I don't remember his name. My fault.
Yeah, and he's from Little Vampire. Any Little Vampire fans out there?
You heard all of them answer just now.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess.
I know that silence is loud.
I'm gonna guess that all of our listeners are like, "Yo, yes, little vampires, let's get it."
So, there's nothing else. We're just gonna ease right on into the first topic. The NBA making a movie. They made up a team, the LA Knights, to be the protagonists for the movie. If the NBA would have picked a team that were going to be the protagonists, it probably would have brought up the question if a real team was that bad to the point where they needed a super sneakered kid to help them get into the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. As a kid, I didn't know what the playoffs were, so I thought they had won the sport of basketball, just all of it. But
For all time, all basketball
for
is
the
just
way
gonna
they
stop now.
for the way they celebrated, I was like, oh my god, they did it. Like normally they do. I'm pretty sure they do balloons and stuff and confetti like they did at the end of this for like winning a series, not or the finals, not like getting into the tournament for the finals. Like, oof. I don't know how long the LA Knights were around in this fictitious movie, but that's not good. Because if Calvin's if he helped you get there, and Calvin's retiring once you guys are there, I don't think they're going to fare well. But it was better than expecting considering the NBA made it. I'm not talking about bad about the NBA. Just you'd expect a movie with a premise like this to be laughably bad. I honestly don't think it was that bad of a movie at all.
If they had made
Especially
it
for
for a
kids'
more
movie.
adult audience, though, it definitely would have. Like, if you try to make
yeah.
this a little more, like, I think if the NBA tried making any movie that like wasn't for kids, it probably would have been laughably bad. Would be my guess.
Especially considering how the NBA is pretty PG.
Well, yeah, but there's PG sports movies that are like not like kids movies. Like Miracle is PG, and that's not really like.
I don't know what that is.
It's the hockey movie where the U.S. beat the Soviet Union.
Okay.
It's not like a kids movie though. Like I think it's Disney produced, but you know that movie was really for like I think it came out in like early 2000s, so it would have been for people who like lived through it, who were all at least 20 by the time it came out.
But yeah, the NBA. I didn't know until Evan pointed it out during the credits that it was made in association. I think it stated with the NBA, which is why that explains why there were so many superstar players at the time: Allen Iverson, Vince Carter, Chris Webber, Gary Payton, Jason Kidd, I believe, Dirk. Yeah, I'm not going to go through the list.
I think Steve Nash shows up.
He was next to Dirk. He was next to Dirk in the hallway scene.
They missed my favorite, Ray Allen, but I won't fault them too much for that.
Why is Ray Allen your favorite again?
I don't know. I just liked him as a kid when for the brief time I followed basketball. For some reason, he was my favorite. He was on the Celtics the year that I started following, and I was a Celtics fan. So.
And didn't they win that year?
They did win that year. That was the year of Kevin
Garnett, Paul Pierce, Rondo,
Rajon Rondo,
yeah.
and Kendrick Perkins.
Kendrick Perkins was their center? Oh, okay.
He was their something.
He has a lot of, their takes. He has a lot of takes, and
yeah, I've heard he's not he tends to incite conflict, is what I've heard. He picks fights on the court or something like that.
No, not on the court. I'm saying he's a social media personality now. A lot of them are, which is good because they're finding work after the NBA, which is cool. Centered around the NBA, but his takes they exist. They do exist. I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but a lot of these personalities for the NBA talk shows and all of that, they're just loud, just to incite controversy and interaction from people. They're purposely saying things that are just not accurate, but they're saying it like it's a fact when it's really just their opinion or something. There's a lot of people like that. Stephen A. probably being the biggest. Yeah, NBA made this. David, did you have anything on this?
The NBA making a movie really blew my mind. Again, as a kid, I would never have even read anything on screen. I would have acknowledged there were letters in front of me and thought, wow, that's pretty cool. And that's pretty much as far as it would have gone. So when you texted me and you were like, yeah, the NBA made this movie, I was like, oh.
Mind blown.
I'm not going to say you can tell, but have they made other movies? I'm not sure. But they made Like Mike.
Are you just stating a fact?
I feel like they could quit while they're ahead with this. If this was their only movie, I'd be like, all right, yeah.
There's a Like Mike too.
You did fine. You did fine.
There's a Like Mike too.
Oh, is that also?
There's Like Mike 2 Street Ball. It exists.
Did they
and
make
Lil
it?
Bow Wow. I don't think any of the cast from this movie returns. I don't think it has anything to do with the first one other than the fact that I think it's the same premise with super sneakers.
Another young boy with hoop dreams finds an old pair of Michael Jordan sneakers and can suddenly play ball like the greatest player in the world. That's the log line on IMDb for Like Mike 2.
But this time it's on the street, so there's no referees and no officiating. He might get roughed. I don't remember. I don't think I've ever seen that. I think I saw the end of it and I was like, I don't need to watch this. And I still haven't. So, oof. There have been way better movies around basketball, Coach Carter being one of my favorites. I think that's the only other one I've seen, now that I mention it. I don't think I've seen many basketball movies. And I don't think you can count documentaries, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't count those.
I mean, Magic Johnson has that show on HBO Max. I don't know if the NBA made that, but that's, what's it called, Winning Time? With the actor that plays him and John C. Reilly. All right, next topic.
The only other thing I want to say before we move on, I mentioned this while we were watching it, but this is basically, For those who have watched the Boondocks, this is basically just a feature-length version of Riley's dream from the one episode where
taking off his warm-ups,
his warm-ups
or his Timbs. I keep getting that in my recommended on YouTube, and I click it almost every single time. Anyway, child actors and child characters. I remembered them being worse in this movie, but rewatching, I was like, for kids, they're not that bad. I like that the kids are believable, too. I think they're believable, full of energy, goofy, questioning things, And we've already mentioned the cast of kids that grew up to actually go on to do other bigger things than a movie probably not a lot of people have heard of.
I had the opposite reaction. I remember it being more believable. And granted, I was a kid, but I just was very in it. And I remember really liking and wanting to hang out with these kids. But this time around, I did not feel that way. I didn't think their acting was bad, per se. I felt like, if anything, the vibe I got and the impression I got was they were doing the best with, the material / what the director was giving them. I feel like the director probably was just do this because we just need to get the shot because this is an NBA movie and it doesn't really matter. So, and it feels that way. That was my biggest takeaway because all of them are good actors in other movies and projects they've done. So I don't really blame them. And they all, I think, at various points make distinct decisions that I think probably they came up with on their own from an acting point of view, like going to hug someone, a gesture, something that probably didn't come from the director, because I feel like the director is really the one that slacked on this movie.
Wow. What if the whole NBA was the director, David? What would you say then?
That's definitely a terrible decision.
All of the NBA...
Well, thankfully they hired John Schultz to direct.
Whoever that man is. So, that was the vibe I got from their acting.
No, David, it was good.
Thank you.
Evan, back me up here. No, not your take. The kids, they were good. Evan, back me up.
I am going to take somewhat of a middle ground, but I'll say
Damn it, Evan.
I was expecting worse from kid actors. I've certainly seen much worse. Daniel Radcliffe. But
the girl from the Harley Quinn movie, I couldn't stand. Was it Cassandra Cain, I think? Whoever the girl that ate the diamond thing. Oh man, she wasn't good. She wasn't good in that movie. I don't know who saw that movie, but I saw it. I didn't know. Go ahead.
I mean, in terms of this is kind of transitioning from actor to character, but between the performance and how he was written, I was pretty easily able to get on board with Calvin as a protagonist, which does not always happen for me with kid actors. I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but I did not have sympathy for the kids in Jurassic Park. And I think I still don't, last I checked. But we'll get into that next episode. But biggest example is the kid in Home Alone. I think that kid is a menace. And I always am rooting against him when I watch that movie.
I mean, he would have killed the burglars a couple of times if it wasn't a kid's movie.
Yeah, he probably grew up to be just such a...
Saw.
I'm going to keep this clean.
Jigsaw.
So I'm not going to say what.
Jigsaw.
I'll take your word for it. I don't know what that means. But
do you not know what Saw is?
The Saw movies?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess there would be a logic to that.
The traps.
The Home Alone to Jigsaw pipeline.
The traps, because of the...
Yeah.
Or he made
Jigsaw
maybe he made okay, maybe he made one of those death game movies. He was the mastermind behind one of them. Maybe he's the person behind the escape rooms, or is Saw.
What a menace!
That's a good comparison, David.
Thank you. I wish I would have thought. The top of my head, just shooting from the hip. Thanks.
Why do you hate the Home Alone kid, Evan? He was just protecting his house.
It's mostly Macaulay Culkin. I
Damn.
just he uh, his brother on the other hand, I
Which
love his
one?
brother, Kieran Culkin from Scott Pilgrim and Succession.
From what?
Is it
He's
because Kieran is a brunette and Macaulay is a spitting image of the Aryan race?
I mean that doesn't hurt, but also Kieran Culkin is just way more fun to watch.
Damn.
What has Kieran been in?
Succession.
He's Wallace Wells in Scott or the he's
Oh,
Scott
oh, oh,
Pilgrim's gay roommate.
oh.
I think that's all you would know him from. That's most of what I've seen him in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but you also just stand that movie so
Yeah, but he's one of the best characters in it, probably.
easily. But that you're not helping my point.
What is your point
I don't know
exactly?
anymore. I lost the point, Evan. Thank you.
Okay, well, to get us back on topic a bit, we don't have to make a huge question out of this, but how do we think is like a good way to approach writing kids in movies? I'm gonna give a slight answer and then I'll hear yours. I was kind of thinking about it as like different from writing a kid in a book because you have to take into consideration that somebody has to act. Like you have to get a kid actor for a kid character in a movie, whereas you can just make an entire pretty complex internal world for even a young kid character in a book, and it works just fine. But as soon as you tell a 12-year-old to try and like communicate that, unless you've got like Daphne Keene or McKenna Grace playing them, it's probably not going to work out great for you.
My answer is either just don't put the kid in there because I don't. Kids aren't even like really necessary in like movies or TV shows at all. No, I'm kidding. Please don't take this seriously. Anybody that's listening, or do what Raimi did and cast like somebody that's 10 years older than the character, like I don't know, Tobey Maguire.
So you're
playing
saying I
Peter
should play a
Parker.
13-year-old?
Yeah, like he did with Tobey Maguire playing Peter Parker. He was clearly a grown man in high
The
school.
chaperone that's younger than all of the kids on the field trip.
Yeah. Oh, we did it again. Oh, it doesn't.
Yep.
No, it doesn't.
Inevitably.
I didn't think about it before I said it. Damn it. Oh my God. With as much as we bring it up, is it like a Batman thing with me? Like, do we secretly enjoy those movies? Is that it?
I mean, I think it's an ironic enjoyment, but perhaps it's there.
What are we talking about? Oh yeah, that's
Kid
how I
actors.
would
Yeah,
write
how,
it.
how do we write kid characters in a movie?
That was my answer.
Just don't do it.
Don't do it, or cast somebody that's drastically older than the character's actual age, but may look like or can act like that character. I don't normally write stories that require children to be in them, so. Well, a lot of my stories are also super dark, and I don't like killing kids in my stories, so I don't want to do that.
Now, David, on the other hand, perhaps loves killing kids in his stories, so how does he go about that?
I don't like killing kids. I mean, I don't think I've ever killed a kid in my story. But I do tend to write more in a younger POV and pocket just because I prefer that and I love coming of age stories. And I feel like what I've learned, and it's like, so there's two ways to go about it. So if you're looking at writing a kid in a movie, like versus it being like a true kids movie, a kids movie needs to have some sort of underlying theme that is really kind of simple and honest about a child experience that is kind of universal. And if you have that, you're kind of golden. People will eat it up. It's just a matter of like the generation that it comes out and hits. But if you're writing, like trying to have an accurate voice for a kid in any movie, I agree. You haven't said it, Evan, in the podcast, but it's in your notes where it's like you really have to watch out and make sure you're not making the kid too smart. I've read so many scripts where you can just tell like what kid is talking like this, doing this, thinking this. Like it's an adult in a kid's body, and that's really the trap you have to avoid. It's like you have to kind of take yourself back to what it was like to be a kid and all of those worries and complexities and how you could go into like the mall or like a restaurant and kind of just like turn anything into a game. Like you have to get into that really mystical mindset that kids have with their imagination and kind of play around there, where adults have more of a grip on reality or their own realities, where kids are more impressionable. And you can really tell that in scripts if the kid isn't kind of being moved by his environment. If he's able to dictate and manipulate and speak very eloquently, it's very questionable as to if this kid is even a real child.
Yeah. Like, we kind of brought that up. I know it's a completely different movie, but like we talked about it with the kid in Steve Jobs, where it's just like you just can't buy that kid as a real kid because she's talking like a Sorkin character.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering, I've just been running through a couple of examples of kid characters in my head as you were talking there, and I wonder if maybe the reason Arya Stark is such a popular character, like there's a number of reasons, but I feel like she maybe is an example where like you have this character who's like really cool, but also kind of encapsulates like a more like honest experience of being a kid, where like she is existing in an adult world, which like unfortunately a lot of kids are forced to, but I think it is really hard to portray that in stories well, especially ones like, I feel like we have yet to really have any movie. I think there's books that exist like this, but I don't think we have a movie that's for kids that like
by kids?
really authentically, not by kids, but that like really captures what it feels like to be a kid. We have some that I think, like I've seen shorts at this one festival that I went to that are like, I feel like they're more honest portrayals of like what growing up is like, but they're very much made for adults. I think the MPAA rating system is largely to blame for that, but it would be nice if we can try to find like a nice balance there. Maybe that's an impossible order to fill, but it'd be nice.
Depends on how hungry you are.
Yeah. And to its credit, like, bringing it back to Like Mike, I think this is obviously not a realistic story for kids, but I do think that Calvin is a, like, pretty good kid protagonist. Like, he has some depth to him. He's hardly the first orphan to be the hero of a kid's story. I think they do fine with that. I think it's included well. But he's also, you know, fun. And he's the kind of kid that, like, other kids would want to hang out with. He's not a jerk like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. He's not too smart and he's not too dumb. Like, he feels like the PG version of a 13-year-old. So I think they did a pretty good job with that. Because I think there are a lot of kid protagonists that are not done quite as well. So, and credit to Little Bow Wow for his performance too. It's not legendary, but I was able to, like, you know, root for him. So that's worth something.
This isn't worth anything. There's a clip in the Kanye West documentary where Kanye is talking to Lil Bow Wow, and Kanye calls him a girl, and then some dude says off screen, "Hey, that's a dude, bro."
And that is Like Mike's legacy.
Yeah, I felt the need to mention that because I just finished watching that documentary. Anyway.
Anything else on kid actors or kid characters, I guess?
Don't write them. If you gotta have a kid character, hire Tobey Maguire. Yeah, do that. All right, I'm good. David?
I just want to see kid characters played unapologetically by, like, geriatric people.
Okay.
Why'd you say okay like that?
Because it's kind of a weird...
Oh.
It would be a strange thing to do.
I see.
I don't want to say anything else that feels like a trap.
David knows damn well what he said. He asked Evan why he said okay like that.
Did I have a bad... Was that the wrong response to have? I'm going to be honest. I'm trying to remember what the word geriatric means right now.
Very old.
Because I don't really know.
Yeah. Old.
Okay. So we'll just do like a Benjamin Button thing.
No.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not the Benjamin Button thing. Never mind.
It kind of, well, they're not reversing in age, but if you have, like, Morgan Freeman play, like, a 6-year-old, like, I think that's what, or, like, somebody older.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Morgan
imagine
Freeman
if Morgan Freeman was like Mike. He was like, please, give me the power to be like Mike.
Please, make me like Mike.
And then Michael Caine was Murph.
We gotta get the shoes, Calvin.
I'm not telling you where those shoes are, Christopher Glover. I was making so many Back to the Future references watching it with whenever Christopher Glover came out.
My face hurts.
Okay, can we talk for a minute too about the e-scooter scene?
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't fall under any topic, but like, what the heck was that?
They were gas-powered scooters. I didn't see a logo name for it, but they were really important in the climax. Don't remember where they came from, but they had them.
Like, that has to be some kind of sponsorship thing. All the kids
They all had
just
randomly colored
have
ones,
these
and all had
gas-powered
helmets their size that matched. The NBA might
at
have
an
donated
orphanage
them.
that's struggling for money. For some reason, they blew a lot of money on these scooters.
That's why those kids can't find parents. They're too expensive. You know.
They're zooming by him on the scooters. If they stopped every once in a while, maybe they'd find mom and dad.
And then Biddleman was really brittle, man, because he got KO'd by a scooter.
Oh, the bird.
Yeah, he got one-shotted by a scooter. I remember Evan started cracking up as soon as he started. No, it was your roommate as well. I don't remember if you were, but somebody started cracking up when Calvin started revving it, and then...
Yes, I think all of us probably.
Yeah, and then Crispin Glover did a backflip after getting hit by the...
Oof.
Oh, yeah, those guys were straight up trying to murder them. That was funny. I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah.
Those gambler dudes.
I know if I were, like, we were having fun with it, but if I were watching it alone, like, that climax would not have worked excellently for me as an adult. But I'm sure as a kid I would have loved it, so I don't want to really criticize it. It's just, it's one of those things that's harder to enjoy as you get older, I think.
Give me your shoes, Calvin. They had 2 damn D-bombs in this. They said damn twice.
Yeah, the
I was
language.
surprised by that. I didn't know the NBA was going to curse.
Yeah, I didn't think NBA players ever swore growing up. Whenever I saw them on the TV, and I saw them, like, talking to themselves or other players or, like, the referees, I was like, they have to not curse, right? Because the NBA wouldn't allow it. And then I just thought all NBA players were just pure. And then I grew up. Like, my dad would tell me Kevin Garnett used to curse to himself all the time on TV and all that. I'm like, what? I don't believe you. And now I'm watching, like, these podcasts and actual NBA games now, and I'm like, oh, man, they don't stop cursing. That's funny. Where was I going with that?
I don't know. We were kind of outside of our topics.
Man, we cannot trace these back, huh?
Tracy, huh? Character.
All right, trace back. Okay.
Tea time. Going
Tea
back
time.
in time.
To 2002 time capsule. That's the next topic. All right, we got there.
Oh, yeah. That is, time capsule is the next topic. All I had under this was it couldn't be made today with the same level of quality. That is all.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, do movies like this even get made anymore today?
No.
I was wondering that as well, and like, I wonder if they don't, or if I'm just not scrolling through the kids section of Netflix. I don't think they really do make as many like live action kids movies though. Maybe again that's just because I'm not like.
It could also be, well, I think this was always possible, but you also got to consider the fact that if it's animated, adults can do the kids' voices.
Right. I think those have always been the better kids movies.
Yeah.
Like, even from this era, like, there was a lot of stuff. Of all the stuff I watched as a kid, the stuff that ages better is always the animated stuff.
Yeah.
Even stuff that I remember really loving, like the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, those don't age well when you get to be older than like 14.
Oh no, don't tell me that.
I mean, that's been the case for me anyway. I'm trying to think of other examples. Anyway, I think animation is the better way to go. And you can kind of do what we were saying a little better earlier with like kids' characters. Like Turning Red is a great recent example, I guess, of having like a story geared towards kids that is taking like a little bit of a deeper thematic thing. And, you know, Pixar's always doing stuff like that. Soul. I don't even feel like Soul
wasn't made
I feel
for
like
kids.
I'm too young for Soul.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Soul definitely wasn't made for kids, even though it was kid friendly.
Yeah. We got to talk about that someday.
What a top 3 Pixar for me. Incredibles as well.
I mean, I'm staying loyal to Inside Out, but Soul is probably second to that.
I saw most of Inside Out. I didn't finish.
You got to finish watching Inside Out.
Yeah, probably.
I'm biased. I love it, but like, it's really good.
Probably. Not probably that it's good. Like, I probably got to finish watching it. I've only seen it because I was doing my animation final, which wasn't really animation. It was like a 3D modeling final in college, from like 1 a.m. No, I want to say 11, and I was out by like 5 a.m. Yeah, I saw most of it through that. Wasn't paying attention for a good portion of it, though.
Back on the topic of the time capsule.
Oh,
though,
yeah.
We talked a little bit about this when we were watching it. Like, what if this came out today? And I think it would just be so much worse because you'd have to have some subplot where, like, he blows up on some social media.
Well, all he's got to do is do
like
the CGI dunk.
Yeah, he's got to do the CGI dunk. Just goes viral.
David, I tried to tell Evan that Lil Bow Wow actually trained his body for years to be able to jump that high to meet that rim requirement, but Evan didn't believe me.
It was actually Eugene Levy. He came in as responsible for that scene.
As his stunt double.
I'm just imagining Eugene Levy with braids now.
With that nasally voice. Let me get this.
Or they actually got Michael Jordan to do it and just made him look small.
Oh, like he was doing the Space Jam dunk?
Yes. So he was, in fact, like Mike in that moment.
Well, he was Mike to me.
Well, okay, yeah, I guess. Whatever. Anyway, I think this is the perfect era for this to come out.
Yeah, I agree. Because, like, how would this movie work? Like, the minute he got the shoes, like, someone would go on Instagram Live and it would be over.
Mm-hmm.
You imagine somebody saying World Star? Whatever happened to World Star?
Could you imagine how canceled that one bully would have been, though? Ox, like, the minute that Instagram Live happened and he hit Bow Wow, like, he would have been over party. That could have been a whole C moment. Murph, like you said, would have to be jealous. It would have been a whole different movie.
You know who would have... I was thinking definitely would have been canceled. I don't know the player's name, but the one guy in, like, Calvin's first game, like, palms his face and, like, pushes him back. I was like, oh, he would have been canceled for that today.
Oh, was it,
the white guy with the goatee thing? Or it's not a goatee, whatever.
Oh, Joe, on his team.
Yeah, honest, the guy who tells him to get the cubby next to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, would he have been canceled? I mean, it's his teammate.
It's because it's a kid. Like, he would have been canceled.
Yeah, I can
or at least
see
memed.
People, at least
he'd
one
be suspended.
half of the nation going crazy over it.
Yeah, I was gonna say Twitter would get angry probably because you could.
But that's such a the epitome of like an early 2000s kind of joke like that you see that in so many movies.
Like when Shrek did it to Fiona.
Yep.
With his whole hand just wrapped around her head. His hand is giant. Shrek was a good movie.
Timeless.
Yeah, but that was last episode.
Are we good on that?
Yeah, but I think it is like worth noting that, like, not that this is the peak of cinema or anything, but it is a little sad that we can't really make things like this anymore.
I guess.
Kids these days, too sophisticated.
Arcs and predictability. Calvin has the external goal of finding a parent. And I think it could be argued it can count as an internal one as well, but not really. Now that I say it out loud.
But not really. The students have to write compare contrast essays, and the teacher's like, pick one. Pick one. You're like, no, but see, I'm giving you both, so you decide which one you like more.
I have to meet a word count. You did this to yourself. Tracy learns to accept his parent and then becomes a parent by the end. Ox, he has a name and he stops bullying. That's all I have on arcs and predictability. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal from Evan's notes again, where I don't think Calvin really has an arc as much as it's Tracy's arc. This movie is kind of crazy all over the place as far as like if you're gonna try to trace an arc or anything, because like this is the NBA making a movie, so they just kind of like took the basic 3 act structure and just applied it and went in, and that doesn't always work the best. And with this movie specifically, how they did it, it gets a little confusing at times. But yeah, I think the clearest arc would be Tracy. He seems to be the one with the most change.
I think it's okay that Calvin doesn't have an arc. I don't think it would be better if he did. But I do think it's good they have somebody have an arc. And, you know, I did predict, I think about halfway through, that Trace was going to be the one to adopt him. But also, like, it did the work. I wanted that to happen. I didn't care that I could predict it.
Now, Murph was a bit much.
That was a bit much.
Oh, I was kidding. Okay.
I'm not kidding when I say it was a little bit much. I don't mind it because it's a kid's movie. It's like, fine, yes, they get to live together
without their female friend.
Yeah, it's a boys only club.
Mm-hmm. And they have
just like the NBA. Like... Whoa, maybe it's a metaphor for basketball. That's deep.
I think that's a pretty generous reading, but okay.
That's deep.
Yeah, I like that they have it in there, though. It was nothing like too deep, but they did the work there. They had all the beats they needed, so, you know, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's fine to write arcs for kids, but I really don't think this needed one. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory doesn't have an arc for Charlie. I would say Sorcerer's Stone doesn't really have an arc for Harry.
I was thinking Sword in the Stone, not Sorcerer's Stone. Oops.
Oh. Yeah, I'd have to rewatch Sword in the Stone to check that one. But yeah, I was feeling some Sorcerer's Stone vibes from this. Felt like a similar wish fulfillment kids kind of thing.
This came out in 2001, and I think Michael Jordan was on the Wizards by then. But I don't remember seeing the Wizards as a team in this movie. So
yeah, I don't think they came up, as I recall.
I wonder why he didn't do this, even if it was the NBA. Maybe he's... I mean, isn't Space Jam the only movie he's ever been in? Is that all that's on his IMDb, other than The Last Dance?
I'll look him up.
And I think he's on, not Winning Time, but Magic Johnson actually has a documentary out similar to The Last Dance that's on HBO Max as well, I think.
There's a movie with Denzel Washington called He Got Game from 1998 that Michael Jordan apparently plays himself in.
Isn't Ray Allen in that? Ray Allen's in one of those older basketball movies as well. Is it Love Basketball? Basketball Jones?
Oh yeah, Ray Allen is in it. Denzel Washington, Mila Jovovich, however you say it, Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson?
Yeah, I guess she would have been pretty young for that. So my guy Ray Allen is in something, I guess, so maybe I'll have to check it out.
Oh, this is a Spike Lee movie.
Oh, you mean a Spike Lee joint?
Oh, that's true. He makes joints.
I wonder if they all played for the Knicks in that movie.
Oh, right, because he's a big Knicks fan, isn't he?
That's an understatement. My dad, I don't know if he was making this up when he said it, but he said Spike Lee probably has like lifetime tickets to all Knicks home games, and I was like, I believe that.
Wouldn't surprise me. For our next couple episodes, we are doing Jurassic Park, the original one, and we're doing Everything Everywhere all at once. You can check out our YouTube channel. We have our Patreon for $1 a month. We have merchandise on Zazzle. Our logo's by Kelsey Hendry. The show is on Twitter at INTAnalysis18. I am on Twitter at Ev_Wes. And where are both of you?
I'm on Twitter at Jelani T. Kelly, Instagram at Jelani T. Kelly, YouTube, Base Phoenix. I got birds. You could follow the birds. Actually, you can't. They don't have a page. I'm not going to give them a page either because I don't think they'd understand it. But that's it for me.
Where am I?
on the basketball court. You can find me on the basketball court.
See you guys next time.